Hi everybody, I'm Lisa with Dalton Wade, and today's training is going to be on DotLoop and the way that DotLoop is set up for Dalton Wade. DotLoop is it's the industry leader. It's a fairly powerful program with the capability of electronic signature, storing files, sending files, setting up templates, customizations, submitting files for review, and so every brokerage can utilize it and set it up differently. This training is designed to be about 15 minutes. It's designed to show you how Dalton Wade is set up with DotLoop. It is not a training on the e-signature functionality of DotLoop or the various features of DotLoop. It is designed for people who know and are familiar with how to use DotLoop, and for people who also know and are familiar with the various disclosures and documents that are needed for the various types of properties, because you're going to need to be adding those. I'm going to show you where to find them. I'm going to show you how to submit them for review. I'm going to show you how our loops are organized. What you're looking at now is the screen that you're going to see when you log into DotLoop. You're going to see your loops. As always, I'm going to have my workspace ready for me to get going. So what that means to me usually is that I have either the tax record open if it's a listing, or the MLS open and ready to go if it's a buy side loop. Today we're going to do a buy side loop, and this is the property that I'm going to be working on. And I've already downloaded the attachments that you see here from the little paper clip. I've already gone to IMAP. You can certainly use Realist or the tax record, or the appraiser's website to grab the public record, which is required. I've also already downloaded a copy of this information, which is also required for broker synopsis using the printed PDF. So I'm just going to grab the address. The way that we use DotLoop, when we add our loop over here at this button in the corner, you put in the property address. That is what we prefer to use, is the property address. If you start with something else, you can change it later from the details section. You're going to click continue, and then you are going to choose a template. If you are not asked to choose a template, it probably is not the Dalton Wade system. You either have a different profile set as your default profile, or someone from another brokerage has shared something with you and has tried to create a little mini loop that you can edit in private. Our system will always not only ask you, but require you to select a template. Our templates are buy side and list side residential and commercial, renter side and list side lease, a referral to another broker, buy side and list side vacant land, and a new agent transfer of MLS. We are going to go to the buy side residential today. Click continue. It's going to ask you if you want to upload a photo. You can. It's not required. Makes it look nicer. It's going to start to create your loop. It knows that this is a purchase because of the type of loop that we picked. Our status is pre-offer. At this point, we're going to enter the price, and we can enter the closing date from here. We can also do this later in our details section. And now we can view our loop. Very briefly, the navigation of the DotLoop system. Up at the top, you've got reports, loops, your tasks, your service providers, and your templates. This is the same templates as you're going to find here when you add a document and you choose templates. This is where you can go to your account and change your default profile. DotLoop Help is wonderful. You can access the Help Center here where you can sign up for various webinars on the e-signature program, or you can access their frequently asked questions. You can call them at 1-888-DOT-LOOP. Their support's really good. Your member ID is here at the bottom. When you create, and this is a buy-side residential loop, the list side loops are similar. You are automatically going to be given some of those required files. They may not all be here because not every transaction is identical. If you have questions, Dalton Wade provides you with on the buy side, a residential buyer checklist. On the list side, there's a listing checklist. So if you have any questions about the documents that might be required for any given transaction, you can always access this checklist, and that is going to help you out. It's going to guide you in the right direction. I also have an offer worksheet that is more specific to just the contract. And if you would like that, you can email me, lisa@daltonwade.com. Going down, this is the name of our transaction. Your notifications are here. This is how you're going to send notes to folks. Purchase, once we go under agreement, we can change this here. The details section, I'm going to open that because there are a few things that you are going to want to add every single time. You're going to add as many people as you can, your buyer, the sellers that you are going to get here, the listing agent, the seller. If the seller's not here, he is in this case, you're going to get him from that public record. The legal description and the tax ID, I also always recommend that you grab, because those go on so many of the addenda, the contracts. You're going to need it. So I always add it to my details section. I always add, again, the buyers, the sellers, the escrow company, whatever I know, we're going to add to the people. I'm going to save this. This is where you change the name. You can use the property address. You can use a custom name. You might have started with the person's name if you didn't know what address to use at the beginning. Why might you do that? You might do that because you want to send over a buyer's package to your buyer. It's going to make you look good. I usually hand one to my people in my buyers in my, looks like this. It's in a folder. It's got my card. It's got a matchy paper clip. It's got the lead-based paint. It's got a copy of the contract. It's got the Dalton Wade buyer disclosure. That's what I do. You could send it electronically. Here's your energy efficiency brochure. Here's your slot. If it's gray, it's a placeholder. If it's black, it's got a file behind it, either a template or just a plain file. MLS printout, here's our buyer checklist. Energy efficiency brochure, that is on the contract. That's why we ask you to send it. It's required. This will tell you if something's required or optional. Sometimes it appears to be optional, but it is required if it's applicable. Dalton Wade disclosure is always required. A contract is always required. The public record is always required. We certainly are going to recommend that you get some proof of funds or pre-approval. And the wire fraud is required. Wire fraud happens way more than anyone wishes it did. Talk to your friends in banking. Ask them how important this is to educate your client on wire fraud. Give them this disclosure. It's also in the Dalton Wade disclosure. It's that important that we're adding another disclosure on top of it. So these are our initial docs that are required. You're also going to go and you're going to upload the tax record, any attachments, and the MLS sheet. That is very easy to do with the Add Document button. I'm just going to browse to my computer, and I'm going to grab my property tax and my disclosures were a CDD and an HOA. The broker synopsis is still here because I want to show you another way that you can get that into its placeholder. There's a placeholder for the property tax, which is right here. So I can drag that and I can drop it. Fills that slot right up. You see how it turned black? The other way to do that is to add the file from the side. I'm going to go to my computer. I'm going to grab my broker synopsis. And it's going to fill that right in. So now we have the CDD, the HOA. Other things that they may have provided would have been a lead-based paint, or maybe they forgot to provide the pamphlet. We can always add a document and go into templates. What if my client is FHA? Add a document, go into templates. What if the buyer is my sister? I need a licensing interest in property disclosure. Add a document, go to templates. Here are our templates. Anything that is a Florida form is going to be in this Florida interactive forms. Anything that is a Dalton Wade added form or a template that we created, whether it was an MLS form, anything that we added that was not a Florida form is going to be here in the Dalton Wade master documents. Florida interactive forms are going to be here. They are all listed. You can do a search. If I want to see anything that has licensee, I can just type any portion of it. I'm going to want to try and find the one that matches my contract. I can hover. I see this one matches the FAR bar. This one matches the crisp. I want the FAR bar. That's the as is. So I can add that. I can keep going. And well, I can copy this. I also want to send my client the lead-based paint pamphlet. I can go back to my Florida forms, or I can kind of check out the different forms up here. We have commission disbursements, we have lead paint, we have MLS forms. Those are your data entry forms for listings predominantly. These are the seller's property disclosures. We always recommend one. Dalton Wade has a minimal one here, very simple for your sellers. HOA docs are here. FHA, VA, we said we wanted to add that. That's here. So we're going to go there and add that. I'm going to go back to the lead paint, which again I can get from down here, or I can get from here. So if you don't know where to find it, go to the bottom. Lead paint law notice, that's for sellers. Lead info pamphlet. If you're a listing agent, you're going to put this on the MLS. And if they didn't, then as the buyer's agent, you're just going to supply it. Here's the lead info pamphlet. Here's the disclosure. That should definitely be provided by the seller. If it's not, ask for it. Here's your lead info pamphlet. If this property were before 1978, 77 and sooner, we would need to send this over to our client. So that's how you add templates. That's how we've already seen how to browse and grab stuff. If you want to add something from your email, let's say this pre-approval, just click on email, copy to clipboard. You're going to go then to your email. And then anything that has an attachment can be sent over. The system accepts PDFs. So we're going to go for a pre-qualification letter here. Anytime you want to send something, you're going to forward it. That is going to maintain the integrity of your attachments. And you can send it just like that. When you do that, it's going to land, look at open and closing. When I click, it opens and closes. Opens and closes the folder. This one opens and closes our add document options. Folder, see that? Opens and closes. You can even move them around. You want them in a different order. See that? And you can add folders You want to add a folder, for example, for your HOA docs. That might make sense. And then you can just throw those in there. Okay? These are our initial documents. And if I refresh my screen, then I'm going to see that that pre-approval has been added to my initial documents. Now it's been added, but it hasn't been added into the placeholder. I'm going to drag it and I'm going to drop it. So I said I wasn't going to do some training, but that was a little bit. Dragging and dropping archives the folder underneath. Archiving does not delete, but it is the closest to delete that DotLoop has. Do not use archive as an option here. If a contract terminates, cancels, click terminated. If it sells, click sold. If a listing cancels, click withdrawn. If you're under contract, click under contract. Archived hides it. I can't review the files. I can't find it if you call me with a question. So be sure to use the appropriate status. Another little trick, when you add people, do not send them an intro email. Why? Because then you can't go in and correct errors. Let's say you added Betty Smith. She's your buyer. And then you find out that Betty signs things as Betty J. Smith. You can open her up. You can add the J. You can save it. No problem. As long as she hasn't signed up for her free account. What is going to prompt her to sign up for her free account? Most likely it's this send intro email. Don't do it. And if you have the opportunity to tell her not to, she doesn't need it. She can sign without it. You have your tasks list. You can customize this for yourself. You can assign due dates, people, due dates, what have you. But what I really want you to notice is these folders. This one is named Initial Docs. This is to be submitted, and I can see that it hasn't been over here. I can see what's required. I can see the status. When you're ready, click Submit for Review. You're going to submit your initial docs for review within 48 hours. Why? If there's any kind of an issue that could cause a problem for you later, for your client later, for the brokerage later, like missing initials on a page, lack of the escrow on page 1 of the contract, that's a FREC requirement. If the property is before 1977 and there's no lead-based paint, I'm going to try and point that out for you. It's those things that are required are going to be on your buyer checklist. It's going to prompt you. This is going to allow me to review it. And it's either going to come back approved or I'm going to return it to you for correction. I'll send you a note. I'll never return something without telling you why it was returned. And there are horror stories about just little things that were missing. Later there was an issue, and that was the thing that caused a fine in the event of an audit, or it caused a loss in the event of litigation. Escrow disputes. It's really important to dot the I's and cross the T's and get the paperwork to get it right. I have someone else look at mine, and they usually find something. It's a good thing to have that second set of eyes. These initial docs, first 48 hours. Once they're approved, you can move them to the bottom. They can just go right down here, close them up, and then move right on to your pending documents. In here, this is an open slate for you. Just add everything. This is your office. We are very virtual. So this is your office space. Use it. Add those inspections that you get. This is where you're going to add your repair addenda. Dalton Wade has a very nice inspection contingency release. We have one with a cancellation that's built in, and one without a cancellation that's built in. Kind of kinder and gentler. And if I do a little search, I can see the two. This one has the cancellation. This one does not. I can use these things. If you want to use a blank addendum, that's fine. Go grab it. Earnest money deposit is always required because Florida statute requires that the buyer's agent provide the seller's agent with the receipt of the escrow deposit within 10 days of that coming in. So that is why that's here. Do that. Here's your commission disbursement. What am I going to look at before I approve it? I look at this before it gets sent to Phil. And really what I'm looking for, I'm looking to see that your folders, your initial documents folder and your pending documents folder, pending is from that 48 hours to, to closing, basically, to see if this has been submitted. You can submit again and again and again. Only the required documents are required to submit. Not submitted, this doesn't get sent to Phil for signature. So stay on top of it. It is really, it's for your, it's in your best interest. It's in our best interest, and it's certainly in your client's best interest to make sure they have all the information that they need for a smooth, knock on wood, a smoother transaction as we can provide for them. When we sign your CDA, we know that you will not have submitted your closing docs, but you are, when you sign your CDA, agreeing to provide a final walkthrough. This final walkthrough is required. It contains a waiver. If your clients choose not to do one, that's fine. There's a waiver. It's in the final walkthrough. They can sign that. The Alta statement, we have to keep that for years. Please upload that when you get it. I'm going to upload the brokerage fee when it comes into the office, and you can upload your check stub or your receipts right here. It's not required, that's optional. To submit for review, you use the submit for review button. You're going to submit by folder. It is not going to let you submit for review if required documents are missing. And it's going to tell you why it stops you so that it can be corrected. If you have a question about how to get it corrected, call me, email me. This says the following documents are required. That is the basics. We have the beginning, middle, and end. We ask that you submit in a timely fashion. We ask that you really take care of your clients in terms of that documentation. It is so important. It will protect them, you, and us later in the event of anything going wrong. And ultimately, getting all those documents in there is what we're going to look for to get you paid. And we are going to sign this before those documents come in. We find that, that works best. People like to get paid at closing. We're happy to do that for you as long as you agree to provide us with that final walkthrough and any closing documents that come through at closing. We'll upload those for us. And we find that works. It's a win-win for everyone. If you want greater detail in your trainings, we do have longer versions of the DotLoop, and we have step-by-steps for the contracts and really for the entire transaction. We're adding new trainings all the time. Thank you for stopping by.